Hi, and welcome to Equine Business Edge, the podcast for horse professionals who want to build a stronger, more profitable business without losing their passion for the horse industry. I'm your host, Jamie Birch, entrepreneur, horseman, and founder of equinerevshare.com. Each episode, we dive into real-world business strategies, marketing, system, mindset, leadership, growth ideas, specifically for trainers, instructors, clinicians, barn owners, and equine entrepreneurs. This podcast is proudly produced and sponsored by equinerevshare.com, a platform that helps horse professionals earn commissions from the products they already know, use, and recommend every day in one simple click. Now, let's jump into today's episode. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Equine Business Edge Podcast. Let's try that again. Welcome to the Equine Business Edge Podcast. My name is Jamie. Thank you for joining. Today is a solo podcast. It's just me. You know, when I'm driving or I'm doom scrolling on TikTok or listening to a podcast, I will often stop and take a voice note on something I want to share with you. Maybe it's a story of running a business, or it's a lesson learned. But this time I was listening to another Western podcaster, and they talk about when they lose a client and what they do. So I want to talk about doing an autopsy and how losing a client can be the best thing for your business. So that's what we're talking about. So if you've lost clients before and it drove you crazy, it made you cry, made you wonder and evaluate whether you're even in the right business, this is the podcast for you. Again, my name is Jamie Birch. You're probably wondering, why should I listen to this guy? Well, let me tell you. I am a 30-year veteran of the marketing space and entrepreneurism. I have run my own businesses since a long time, about 22 years. I've had very successful businesses. I've also had failures. I ran a marketing agency called JB Commerce for 19 years before I sold it in 24. And I've led organizations of one person all the way up to 150. So I have done a lot of this, and I've lost a ton of clients. Both of my two most successful businesses have been service-oriented businesses. So we serve clients and they pay us. And I have lost some very large clients. And that can be a really difficult time for you. A lot of people will just go kind of screw those people. They didn't know what they had and be done with it. But you're really missing an opportunity. I call them an autopsy. My very smart and successful sister calls it an after item review, after action review. And that action is they fired you. So now you got to go look at it. Now, most people, like I said, they just move on. They're not even going to think about it. Now the only focus you have is replacing that client, bringing that other horse in, finding another photography account, finding another bodywork client, another barn to shoe horses in, whatever that is. And that's your only focus. And you are missing a huge opportunity here. Because even when, you have clients who leave and you are happy that they left. They are horrible clients. They are stressful. They spend most of their time berating you. They are unprofitable. And you have those clients. And when they leave, it's a great thing. And you still should do an autopsy on that one. My dad will say, you still got to autopsy that dead body. And then you have clients who you love, and maybe they make you a ton of money. They are a joy to work with. They're a feather in your cap. They allow you to use them to promote your services. They give you testimonials. They're friends of yours, and they are wildly profitable and super fun to work with. And guess what? Those clients leave too. And you should autopsy the dead body after that too. And here's when we don't do that, we miss an opportunity to really learn about our services. Even for those clients that were jerks and we are really glad they're gone, there are things you could have done better 100% of that time. So you kind of, for the autopsy to work, you have to come in a place with an empty cup. Not a lot of, no preconceived notions of what went right and what went wrong and why they left. You have to come in looking to learn what you can about your service, about the results, about the client, about what they needed, and about whether you delivered that or not. You will find every single time there are things you could have done better. So we've always included, I didn't used to always do this. I didn't always do an after action report or an autopsy on a client leaving. A lot of times, probably the first 7 years of business, we just moved on. I went, there's such a stress in finding that next client that's where we went. We just went right to the next client. But even in the clients that we wanted to fire, we learned things that we could have done better. So one of the first things that we do is we have someone, if you are an organization that has more than one person, this is a really great thing to do. You have someone who wasn't on the account, didn't work with that client. They reach out after it's all said and done, and they reach out and they just ask a series of questions. Hey, we're not here to try and save the account. We're not here to try and keep you as a client, but hopefully you have a few minutes to just answer a couple of questions so we could better serve our clients in the future and understand the reasons why you left. And hopefully we get to put that into actions going forward and do better for our clients. Now, there are clients who will tell you, I am totally not going to talk to you. That's happened. I've had people refuse to do that. But most of the time they will tell you. Now, there have been times where the client dealt directly with me. So I found someone to go do this autopsy and ask these questions. Eventually, I created a whole list of questions and a whole process for it. So it was very easy. They could actually fill it out online if they didn't want to get on the phone. I found phone is much easier. But if you are just doing it, if you're a solopreneur, that may be pretty difficult because they kind of fired you. So they may not want to talk to you again, but maybe they'll fill out a form. I have in the past, when it was just me, created another account with a different name at my company and followed it up like they had worked there, but they'd never met that client. And then they can ask these questions. But I've also hired another person. Hey, can you please make this call? And my mom always did a really good job at that. So I used my mother to make those calls. It was fantastic. And we learned a ton every single time. We wanted to know what their expectations were, what they were sold on, what they thought they were getting, and then what they actually got. And why did they leave? What we could have done better to save their business, what their biggest frustrations were, and what was the thing that excited them most about coming to us? And then did we meet that expectation? So we developed this list of questions to go after. And then we went and we asked those questions, whether that was electronically or over the phone or even sometimes in person. And then we looked at our standards. So you kind of have to have standards. If you don't have a way of doing business, this is going to be really hard to determine whether you hit that standard or not. So you may want to go listen to another podcast we have on processes and systems that may help you check that out. I think it's episode 2. But you have to have a standard, and then you're going to measure those results against that standard. So first, you're going to listen to all their feedback, and you're going to take it in. And the first thing you're going to want to do is defend yourself. Don't do that. Just soak in their feedback. Now, if it's a client you really, really wanted, this is going to hurt. And a client you loved, a client you earned a lot of profit on, this is probably going to hurt hearing, because there's usually a good reason why people left. Sometimes it's simply pricing. And then maybe what your big lesson there is, you had the wrong client in the first place. But you'll learn on every single account something somewhere you could have done better. Maybe not to save the account, but you can do better in the future. So you have to have that standard. You want to measure that feedback. How did we meet that standard? And then you kind of got to go through and that whole relationship and see how you did. What could you have done better? Did you communicate enough? I know a lot of people leave horse trainers because once they drop off their horse, it's kind of a black box. They don't know. As a consumer of horse trainer services, One of the biggest things is I never hear an update. I don't get a video. Trying to get progress reports with some trainers has been difficult. My current trainer is fantastic. I don't have to worry about that at all. But that's one of the reasons I go to her. But you can go back and look and see what you could have done better and really try to take the emotion out of it and try to take an objective look at how you serviced that particular client. And then you can create from there ways that you can do it better in the future. So it's a pretty basic concept, and you'll find you're going to develop your own process for this. But you are missing an opportunity to see through the client's eyes what your service is and how you're delivering it, and then being able to improve it because someone else is doing this. Your competitor is totally doing this. They are getting better every single day at delivering the service that you also provide. And if you're not looking and reviewing your product, your service, your deliverable, then you're missing out. And a great way to do that is to look at every lost client as an opportunity to get a lot better. And we've had this happen a number of times, and a number of processes came out. Probably one of the biggest is this story. We had clients, and when we sold them on our services, they were so excited. They were so excited. And then we would always take about 2 weeks that where we were doing work, but there just wasn't a whole lot to show them. And you horse trainers know, the first 2 weeks are just getting used to the horse. And this is a pretty common complaint. Like, what is he doing? What's going on? I want to see. It happens all the time, right? So our clients were no different in the marketing space. And we didn't have any processes for those first 2 weeks. We just, hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to deliver this roadmap. We're going to review all your marketing. We're going to review your audience. We're going to review what you've done, what your competitors are doing. We're going to create this big plan of attack. Well, what we didn't realize is those first 2 weeks are incredibly critical, not only for my former marketing agency, but also for your business too. Those first 2 weeks are wildly critical, because we sold a client on all this promise of revenue and customer acquisition growth and market share gain. And for the first, they signed the contract, they handed over a check. I cashed that really quick, right? That went right into the bank. And then they don't hear from us for 2 weeks. And that was our process. And then in 2 weeks, we'd meet with them and we'd deliver all this work. And we originally thought, well, we got to get this stuff done. We need 2 weeks to put this together. And that's true. You needed the time to do that. And just like horse trainers, you need time to get used to that horse. There's not a whole lot going to happen in 14 days. But the client is literally sitting there just like, okay, what's going on? Am I going to hear from them today? Are they doing it? Did they forget about me? Are they going to work on it? What's going on? Is this improving? Where are we? What's going on? I just paid so much money and I haven't seen anything. And you haven't talked to them at all. And they just had an argument with you. And now they're pissed. And so one client, very large retailer that you would know if I told you who their name was, they experienced this. And it was the last time we ever happened. And what had happened is there was undiscovered expectations that they had for direction of the plan that we did not surface in our sales calls or our kickoff call. And then verbalized expectation on communication from the client, that what they wanted to see, that we didn't discover, they didn't share, it just didn't kind of surface. So we took our 2 weeks. They sent an email and we said, yep. They were like, hey, where are we on this? And we would send back, we're right where we need to be. And it sounds silly, but that's literally like the email that we sent. And that pissed them off so much. By the time we delivered the plan, they were already not happy with us. And we delivered a spectacular plan. But with that unsurfaced, undiscovered expectation of where to go, we actually took that plan in one direction and they wanted to see something else. Well, to say they were upset is an understatement. I've been yelled at quite a bit by clients over 30 years. If you work with clients, that's going to happen. You're going to have some people just don't like you. These were great people and they yelled and they were very upset because we just spent 2 weeks going down a road they didn't want to go down on. And they heard nothing from our team. We were able to repair that, and we kept that client for 1 year. It was a huge client. Like we did and would have been able to do more of building more business off of their name and our work with them. They had such a bad experience. So they left after 12 months, the contract ended. They did not renew. It was a significant impact because they were it was a very large contract. And they bounced. They didn't renew. And when we did the autopsy, the after action review on that account, everything after that initial 2 weeks and that very uncomfortable meeting was flawless, was perfect. We lost the client in the launch of the client. So they had been planning to fire us for 11 and a half months, but we had a contract and they didn't until they could. So we discovered we had a major flaw in what we were doing, and that was our launch plan. So we went right back to the whole process of bringing on a client. And we did whatever we could to make sure that we added a whole series of questions during our onboarding. And then we added a 10-day automated email system that was custom for the client, so that every single day we would let them know. Our team would enter what was accomplished that day, and that email would go out. So every single day they knew exactly where they were. So those first 2 weeks, by the time we got to deliver the plan, they knew most of what was going on. They had felt nurtured through this. They had felt there was real progress going on in the account, and our retention went up from an average of 24 months to about 48 months. And if you don't know this, the second contract you have with a client is always way more profitable than the first. So we wouldn't have known that we had a horrible, broken launch process unless we had done that autopsy. So those after action, however you want to call it, autopsy the dead body. A lot of people don't like to hear that. It's crude, or after action plan. Either of those are going to provide you major benefits so that you can charge what you need to, become a sustainable, profitable, growing business, and work with people for a really long time. Because the more you work with people, the easier they are to work with. It's always harder to bring on a new client. It's way easier to find out what you could have done better and then do better than to replace all your clients. So that's my tip for the day, and a story that I remember that really had a huge impact on our business. And was one of the reasons we went from 6 figures to 7 figures, and what we have done in the second business that I ran that allowed us to get to 8 figures in a tenth of the time that it took us to get to 7 figures in the marketing agency. So hopefully that helps. Let me know, what do you do when you lose a client? And after listening to this, what will you do different? Thanks for listening to this episode of Equine Business Edge. If you got value from today's conversation, make sure you subscribe, follow, and share this episode with another horse professional who could benefit from it. Word of mouth is how great businesses and great podcasts grow, and your support truly helps us reach more people in the horse industry. And this podcast is proudly produced and sponsored by EquineRevShare.com. EquineRevShare.com was built specifically for horse professionals, trainers, instructors, clinicians, boarding facilities, influencers, breeders, and all sorts of equine business owners who are already recommending products to clients every single day. Whether it's tack, supplements, grooming products, apparel, feed, training tools, or barn equipment, your clients are already asking what you use and trust. And we provide a way for you to make that happen, earn a commission, and all doing it the same way you do it right now. Equine RevShare helps you turn those recommendations into an additional income stream by giving you access to retail partnerships and easy-to-share product links from equine brands and retailers all over the world, all in one place. No complicated tech, no inventory, no awkward selling. Just your cell phone. Just a simple way to get rewarded for the influence and trust you've already built in the horse industry. To learn more or get started, visit equinerevshare.com. And thanks again for being here. We'll see you in the next episode of Equine Business Edge.